Hi everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this lesson about French adjectives. So this is the third lesson that we've had recently about adjectives. It follows naturally the first two, so if you haven't seen the last two lessons, I would recommend that you go back to my channel homepage and you can find them under videos. It's lesson 135 and 136. So this lesson is about adjectives that only have two forms. Lesson 135 was about adjectives that end up with four forms. 136 adjectives that end up with three forms. This one is adjectives that have only two forms. So you'll see what I mean as we get going here. And this has to do with a rule that said if you want to make the adjective feminine, if it already ends in an E, do not add anything. Remember that the normal rule is add an E from the masculine singular to make the feminine singular. But if it already has an unaccented E, just leave it as it is. So we have the adjective timide, which means timid or shy. To make the feminine form, normally you're adding an E, but there's already one here, so don't do anything, and you have the form timide. Timide, timide. Notice it's the same. Timide, timide. For the plural, remember that the general rule is to add an S. And when I say general, that means it's going to work for most adjectives. There are some exceptions, which we'll learn later on down the road. So, plural, masculine plural, just add an S. Timide, timide. And then finally, feminine plural. Remember to get the feminine plural, you add an S to the feminine singular form, and you have timide. So it's the same since the masculine and feminine are the same. So we only have two forms here. We have timide and timide. Notice the pronunciation is all the same. Timide, 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 timide. Let's look at this in the context of an example. If I want to say he is shy, I would say il est timide. Il est timide. If I want to say she is shy, I would say elle est timide. Elle est timide. Notice exactly the same. Also the same pronunciation. Il est timide. Elle est timide. Il est timide. Elle est timide. Il est timide. Elle est timide. Remember, repeat as much as possible. Skill is only acquired through practice. So, il est timide. Elle est timide. They are shy. So I'm dealing with ILS, the plural of this. Ils sont timides. Ils sont timides. Notice you add an S. And then they are shy with elles, the plural of elles. Plural they. Feminine. Elles sont timides. Elles sont timides. Il est timide. Elle est timide. Ils sont timides. Elles sont timides. Two form adjective. Okay, let's try another one. Agréable. Agréable. This looks like agreeable in English. It's related. The way it's usually translated to English as pleasant. So we use agréable in French in the context of pleasant to describe someone. So for example, if I wanted to talk about he's a pleasant person or he is pleasant, I would use agréable. Agréable. So the rule is to get the feminine, you add an E, but since it already ends in an unaccented E, then you leave it as it is. So we have agréable, 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 agréable. Plural, add an S. Agréable, same pronunciation. And for feminine plural, same thing, add an S. Agréable. Agréable, 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 agréable. Same pronunciation all the way through. And we only have two forms, a singular and a plural. Okay, so now let's look at some examples. I'm describing, remember this is an adjective that we use to describe someone's character, personality, that type of thing. So if I want to say he is pleasant, I would say il est agréable. Il est agréable. A little bit of liaison here. Il est agréable. Il est agréable. He's pleasant. She is pleasant. Same form. Elle est agréable. Elle est agréable. Elle est agréable. Liaison. Agréable. They are pleasant. Ils sont agréables. Ils sont agréables. Normally you just pronounce this sont, but with the vowel following, the T suddenly appears in sound. Ils sont agréables. Ils sont agréables. They are pleasant. Elles sont agréables. Elles sont agréables. Again, liaison here. Elles sont agréables. Elles sont agréables. Il est agréable. Elle est agréable. Ils sont agréables. Elles sont agréables. And there you have it. Another example of a two-form adjective. Let's try one more. This is the adjective for selfish in English. In French, the equivalent is égoïste. Égoïste. So it looks kind of like egotistical. Égoïste is, of course, related. So égoïste, to get the feminine form, this one ends in an E already. That's unaccented, so I leave it as it is. Égoïste. Égoïste, 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 égoïste. And by the way, the tréma has the function of separating these two vowel sounds instead of like a wa sound normally if the O and the I are together. When you have the tréma, it forces you to leave this in its own syllable, and this is a new one. So we have égoïste. Égoïste. Same thing here. Égoïste. So for the plural, add an S right here, and we have égoïste. Oops. Okay, there we go. There's our S. And then for the feminine plural, also add the S. Égoïste. Égoïste. And there you have it, two forms. Examples. He is selfish. Il est égoïste. She is selfish. Elle est égoïste. They are selfish. Ils sont égoïstes. And they are selfish. Elles sont égoïstes. And there you have it. And remember, the moral of the story, or really the point of the lesson, is that adjectives that end in an E, an unaccented E, especially when you see them on a vocabulary list, the masculine singular form, if it ends in an E, then you don't add an E to make it feminine. Just leave it as it is. And what this means practically is there are only two forms. These adjectives only have two forms. They only have a singular and a plural form. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you'd give it a like. To continue learning French and go on to the next lesson, click on the video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. À bientôt.